Hello everyone, it's Marcia Baker with Sketchnote Boss, and I just wanted to do some recap, some highlights from our Christmas brunch this morning. So we learned to draw recipes, and these could make such touching, really special gifts. Or just, you could just start your own cookbook sketchnoting recipes. I mean, there's just the possibilities are endless. But I just thought it would be so fun to learn how to draw a recipe and then have you take one of your recipes and submit it to our second annual Christmas cookie recipe exchange. So let me explain what this is really quickly. And why it's called a cookie exchange, although we accept any recipes. Um, so when I worked, the first time we did the cookie exchange, I made cookies and they were really awful because I can't cook at all, not even a little bit. And so the next year for the cookie exchange, it said all cookies must be homemade except for Marcia Baker, who must purchase hers. So I did. I got the double chocolate dipped Oreos, and everybody was really happy with those. But and then I got to bring home everybody's cookies. But since I said, you know what, I can have my own dadgum cookie exchange, and I can do my own recipes now. So that's why I decided to call it the Christmas Cookie Exchange. Um, Although any Christmas recipe is great. So what we want you to do is we want you to sketch note your recipe, and preferably do it by hand. And then we want you to scan it because sometimes taking those pictures is really gray, really hard to see. So Cam Scanner is a great um, uh, free app on your phone where you can scan something and then email it to blessings@live.com by December 16th this year. That's a Wednesday, and then I'm going to work really hard on Thursday and Friday and hopefully get that out on Saturday, Sunday at the latest. So I will post a separate thing on how to actually do the recipe exchange, but so this is last year's. So we want to make sure you use the portrait and not the landscape. Really would love to see color, and also be sure to include your name, and if you want your Facebook or your Instagram, Twitter handle, it's like I said, be sure and scan it, and then email it to me at blessings@live.com, and then I will put it in the recipe book. Make a PDF book and send you the link. I'll put it in the members only page, and then I'll email everybody the link when it's ready, and you can run in and get that and see whatever recipes everybody's been doing. It's going to be fun. But first, let's learn how to sketch note a recipe. So hopefully you've got the email this morning with the link to the Christmas brunch, which is passed. Um, but you might want to still go ahead and get this packet because um, it has the how we're going to sketch note a recipe. I will go over that in a minute and then give you an example, and then we're going to sketch note 2 recipes. So Joan Fitzgerald submitted the easy cheesy sausage biscuit bites, and Lorraine Bacon submitted the Crockpot Christmas sausage bake. So if you're a vegetarian, you're probably not going to like either one of these. And certainly you don't need to sketch note them, but I'm going to sketch note them and kind of show you how to do it, because in my mind there's actually 2 ways to sketch note a recipe, and we're going to use one for each of the recipes. We'll use one of those processes. So the first thing that we're going to do is, well, let's just talk about the process of how to sketch note a recipe. Um, so when we sketch note a recipe, we want to make sure we choose something that's really simple. Like if you've got something like with, 15 ingredients and, 20 processes, it's going to be a lot to fit on one sheet. And I just think there's a lot to being able to hand one sheet to somebody instead of having it be a book. I mean, or you could make it a book. The sky's the limit. You could just make somebody a little recipe book with one recipe in it, and just each page has a different process. And there's just, the possibilities are endless. But I kind of like to keep mine to one page, and choose something that's really special. So something that you really enjoy making, something that everybody loves that you make, or go ahead and sketch note something, grandma's berry cobbler recipe or apple cake or whatever it is that grandma made that was so awesome and special. If you sketch noted that and made it and gave it to everybody for Christmas, they would be so touched. My grandmother has a rum cake recipe that I am dying to sketch note, although unfortunately I have misplaced the recipe, so I need to find that. So, and then the other thing I would recommend is that you don't do a recipe that you've never made before, because you don't want to put all this time investing in time into sketchnoting a recipe and then make the recipe and find out it's awful. So, just encourage you to do that. So once you decide your recipe, you want to decide, kind of pre-plan, come up with some fun fonts and frames, bullets and numbers, and then the icons that you're going to use, and practice them. Don't let your sketch note be the first time that you ever draw a stove or a crock pot or a pot. Just do a little practice first. And then I always leave room for the finished product, finished dish, and I'll show you here an example in just a second. And then use call out boxes for additional information. I'll show you how I did that on this next recipe. So make sure you practice. And then decide on the layout. So you could use a traditional recipe which has the ingredients listed out and then the instructions, or you can combine the ingredients and instructions and actually show the process. So I'm going to do one of each of those. I'm going to use Joan's recipe to actually do the traditional, and I'm going to use Lorraine's to show the process. And then for gift ideas, like I said, you could sketchnote a treasured family recipe, give everybody that for Christmas. You could fill a jar with ingredients and attach note the recipe, like, you know, like the dry ingredients for brownies or cookies or things. That would be a lovely gift. Or you could sketch note one of your favorite recipes for a new bride, for her bridal shower. So all kinds of fun things that you can do to just make things a little more personalized. And then you are using your visual vocabulary you're using sketchnoting concepts to make the recipe very organized, and you're using your visual vocabulary to draw. So it is a win-win all the way around. So where is, all right. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's go back to the Benjamin Franklin breakfast bowl and just look through this. So this is a super, super easy recipe that I did. So again, I'm using block letters, right? And then I decided to draw Benjamin Franklin, and literally he is a triangle and a square. So, and then I gave him a little kite because, you know, he discovered electricity. So, and then I decided to do one of his quotes: early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and rise. But so I thought, so appropriate for the Benjamin Franklin breakfast bowl. So I got this recipe. So I listed the source from Food Wishes. It makes one serving and the prep time is 5 minutes. So this one, I did a traditional recipe. I did the ingredients and then the procedures. So I have ingredients. I have 1 cold apple. So I drew an apple. And then for the bullet points for each one of the ingredients, I went ahead and did a kite. I thought that would be appropriate for this recipe, for the Benjamin Franklin breakfast bowl, to draw a little kite. And then 6 ounces plain sheep's milk yogurt. So I drew a little sheep. And then I did a little call out boxes that did you know that red delicious apples are the most popular apple in the world, and they were developed right here in Missouri, about an hour north of St. Louis, from the Stark Brothers Nursery. So I just thought you'd want to know that little tidbit. We're going to add 2 heaping tablespoons of granola. So I've got spoons with my little heaping tablespoons. Optional fresh fruit. And then I see I have another call out box that says avoid adding extra sugar with dried fruits. And you'll notice that I frame this in with a simple line, because it's just going to make your recipe just a little more organized. And I tend to do this in pencil at first, so that tells me where I can write and where I can't, and then go back and do it at the end, just to make sure that I planned everything well. I drew a big picture of the actual dish. So here, and I drew the individuals. So here's my apples and my yogurt and my granola and then my fresh fruit. And so I kind of did them all together versus trying to mix them all together, and showed it all mixed up. So here's my spoon coming out of my bowl and my napkin and my cup of tea. So there's the finished product. And then the procedures. So I'm going to chop the apple into cubes. So I drew little cubes and showed you how I would actually chop the apple. Let me just show you that a little closer. So I drew little dotted lines down the apple. I don't know why that's not being clear. There we go. I don't know. All right, so I need a zoom camera. Refrigerate overnight. So my little symbol for overnight is my moon. Add apples to the bowl, top with yogurt. Top with granola, garnish with nuts, fruits, and seeds. No need to add extra sugar with flavored yogurt. So again, that was another little call out box, just to add a little more information on how to process this recipe. So that's the example of a recipe. But let's then, so if you flip over to page, where are they? You know what? Let's first draw some kitchen icons. So we've got kitchen essentials. We've got some breakfast food. So there's some French toast, breakfast burrito. And then I just did some other food. Don't you like the way I wrote the food? I thought that was fun. So I did this for my 100-day project. And so there's that. So let's draw a few of these. And then eventually we're going to be back on page, there we go, page 6 for the actual recipes. And somebody's talking to me. So, all right. So here is my 100-day project book. I know you may have seen this before, and somebody said, you should publish that. So I'm like, oh, a good time. So maybe in January I will publish this. So my thought was to, so anyway, so there's my, so I just, what I do is I am not a big TV watcher. My husband loves to watch TV. So there's my food page and a travel page. What I do is I just in my mind just randomly think of a topic, or maybe I'll go look on Pinterest and say, oh, I see somebody posted food or travel, or so I did a page on wreaths and tabletop games. That was my son's birthday. I did tabletop games for him. Something in the farm or bugs, or just I might find, who knows, or I'm looking through a magazine. And so even though the 100-day project is over, I still try and find things to draw, because the more things I can draw, then the bigger my visual vocabulary, and I am going to be a much more effective sketchnoter the more things that I can draw, and the more practice, because quite honestly, probably the first time I drew a couple of these things, they were really awful. And things like bicycles are hard, hands are hard, and just practicing people and such. My Shakespeare page, I think that was a Speak Shakespeare page, and then National Bat Day. I forget what that was. So I learned how to draw bats, do the Batman symbol, and, and not that I'm a big Halloween person, but you may be surprised the number of times you need to draw bats. All right, I am belaboring the point. So let's get to, back to the kitchen page. So these recipes are really simple. So we're going to draw a bowl. We're going to draw an oven. And if you have time, you can draw a little apron. We're not making anything with pastry, so we don't need a rolling pin. But here's your flour, sugar, coffee, those things of eggs, something in a pan, chef's hat, your mixer, a grater. So we're actually going to draw the grater today. So so let's draw the stove and the bowl, and just to kind of show you how to get those things going. And all right, so I'm going to show you a couple of things about, okay, the stove is simple. I'm just going to do a straight on view here, versus trying to do a side angle and then you have to do perspective. I think for sketchnoting, this is simple. This is what we want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a rectangle. All right, and then later I can go in and add the controls. And then I can actually draw it two ways. I could actually, if I'm baking, it's kind of got that little lip. And then I'm going to just really, so what have I drawn so far? I've drawn two rectangles and a square, right? And then I'm going to draw another rectangle here, okay? And then I'm going to draw another skinny rectangle, and I'm going to come out the other side. So remember, I have stop and start lines. So this is now our kitchen towel. I'm going to come and draw a line on the other side to show that it's hanging over. And then if I wanted to draw my window, on my stove, and then start drawing some of the controls. There's my stove. So if I was going to bake something at 350, I would just go ahead and write 350 in there. So that's one way to draw a stove. Another, so especially if you're going to be cooking something on the top of the stove, is to draw a little bit skinnier rectangle. And then, this is kind of like that Egyptian perspective. It isn't quite right, but you get the gist of it, is I'm going to draw a trapezoid. So basically, I'm drawing a four-sided thing, but the two sides are flared out. And then I'm just going to draw a line straight down and come over. And then if I wanted to draw a little bit, another line for the drawer at the bottom where you keep all your pots and pans, that could be a choice. So again, I'm going to draw that rectangle there. I'm going to come off that, and then I'm going to draw this little line behind it to show that the towel is hanging over the kitchen or the stove handle, oven handle. And then I'm going to draw my picture of the front of my oven. And then I could draw coils, or I could just draw circles for my 4 coils on my stove. And then again, I'm just going to draw a box with 350, and then maybe 4 little circles. And you know it's a stove, right? So there's 2 ways to draw a stove. Whatever speaks to you. Maybe if you're drawing something on the top of the stove, a little late here, but you know, if I was drawing, you know, you could just draw a pan, give a little, just kind of color in the bottom. All right, and then we get rid of the spiral. So that shows you cooking something. And then obviously you probably want to pencil that in first, because obviously since I've drawn the oven, then we've got this line going through, so that's kind of disconcerting. So let's just see through. So that's the way you could draw something on top of the stove. All right, what else are we drawing? So we are drawing a bowl. So to just draw a straight bowl, I'm going to draw a very skinny oval like that. And then I'm going to come over on the side and I'm going to draw a little lip, right? And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're sketchnoting. We got to do this quickly, all right? And then I'm going to just do a half circle. So there's that. And if you want to put the bowl on the table, you know, I could add a few lines down here. So this assumes that the sun is coming from that direction. So it's going to cast a shadow over on this side, and the sun is probably going to hit over here. So that makes this the darker part of the bowl. All right. So if we want to add things in the bowl, or you know, you could have a heaping bowl. So again, totally fine to do this in pencil, especially if you're not exactly sure where you're going. But that's putting things in the bowl. So and sometimes I like to do show that I'm mixing. So I can just add, so what is that? So it's just really kind of a long U. And again, since I've added it late, I kind of need to color it in. Or I could go back and put it in pencil and do it first. And then, so if I did this first, then I would draw. So now the spoon is in the bowl. And then if I drew, so the bowl's full of whatever, then we draw the little rim and a little half circle. And then I've got my spoon in the bowl. So you want to start with the spoon when you want to do that. Or you can do it in pencil. All right. What else do I want to show you? Crock pot. We're going to need a crock pot for our cooking things. Just want to look at my recipes. So a crock pot is so simple. It's like crazy simple. So we're going to draw a long rectangle, and then we're going to come down and draw a square. All right, you can already see in your mind, you know it's a crock pot. So we're going to add a half circle for the lid, and then a triangle for the top. We're going to come down and add 2 little squares, Everything is made up of 7 shapes: a line, a zigzag, an S curve, a spiral, a circle, a half circle, and a paisley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, I remembered everything. So there's nothing on this list that you can't draw. And everything that we're drawing is made up of one of those shapes. So we have, so a line, obviously when we add more lines, we can have a rectangle, we can have a square, and the zigzags are kind of that triangle look. So, so we're adding a triangle, we're adding a half circle, we're adding a long rectangle and a square, and 2 little tiny squares for the feet. And you got a crock pot. So again, when you start looking at the basic shape of things, when you see like, oh, we've got this basic oval, and we're just going to modify it a little bit. So there's that. What else do I want to show you? And then a muffin pan. So one of the recipes is a mini muffin pan. So if you really wanted to take the time to draw 12 to make sure, because she says things work a lot better in the mini muffin pan with the easy cheesy sausage bake than doing a big muffin pan. But if you're in a hurry, you could just do a big muffin pan. I'm just going to put 4 in there. And then if I just take one side and kind of, and I know I'm being a little sloppy here, but so I don't want to belabor this video any longer than it needs to be, and just color it in. That's going to indicate that we've got some depth there. So we've got the sides of the pan, and so things are actually going to fit in there, so we have some depth. All right. I mean, we could draw kitchen stuff all day long, but for now, I think that's where we are. And let's get to these recipes. So the first recipe I'm going to do is Joan's Easy Cheesy Sausage Bake. So let me get that. And so what I've already done is I've decided that I'm going to get my ruler out. All right, easy for me to do. All right, let's get rid of the rest of this paper here. So I'm just dealing with just that. There we go. All right, so there's this. I'm going to draw this because easy cheesy sausage or biscuits, easy cheesy sausage biscuit bites, that's a lot. And so I'm going to use my number 10 Pigma Sensei Pen. That's this one. There we go. I don't know. You can still not see that. Anyway, I'll put a link to it. All right, put a link to it. And so what I did was I figured out I wanted to center this. So there would be another little number that I need is 4 1/4. So I'm going to come down here and do 4 1/4, and there's my middle place. I'm doing that in pencil so I can erase it later. So the way that we're going to do this, I'm going to do easy cheesy sausage on one line and biscuit bites on the next line. So let's do, so when I counted easy cheesy sausage, that was 19 characters, and the 10th character was the S. So the S is going to be in the middle on the first line, and biscuit bakes I think is 13 characters, and so T is going to be in the middle on the second line. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start from the S and go cheesy SY sausage, and then go back and do the rest of easy cheesy, and we're going to do the same with biscuits. So we're going to start with T bites and then go back and do the rest of biscuit. So that's how we center a title. So I'm just going to keep it very simple block letters. So there's cheesy sausage, and I like to SAUSAGE. I like to talk when I'm doing this because it's so easy to misspell a word, and then you got to start all over. So notice now I'm going this way. All right, keeping my letters very simple. All right, and now I have Y S A, easy cheesy sausage, Biscuit Bites. And so the T is the middle for Biscuit Bites. And then I'm going to work backwards from the T. So we have the I and the U and the C and the S and the I and the B. And if you mess up, you can always take a little piece of paper and put over it with a little rubber cement, and you'll be surprised that that's a great way to white things out so you don't have to start all over. Because if you've done all this recipe and you put an hour into it and you mess up on the last line, it can be really frustrating. So while we're at it, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to switch back to my other pen, and I'm going to say recipe by Joan, and she made some in our Zoom meeting this morning. It was really good. Fitzgerald, and then sketch noted. You always want to note that you sketch noted this by Marcia Baker. And that way, it's a sort of a mental thing. I've got it, and I know that not going to run out of room. So, and again, if I wanted to put a line, actually I'm going to wait and put a line around it. So this recipe, I am going to just do the straight ingredients and the directions, okay? And so I'm going to do, I think, ingredients. Well, first of all, I'm going to make room for the finished product over here, okay, in pencil. And then I think I'm going to go, since we have 3 ingredients, we have biscuits, sausage, cheddar cheese. So I think I'm going to go, so I'm going to decide. I think I'm just going to do a little heart for the ingredients, so you know that we've got ingredients. So we have 2 count cans, 10 count, 2 10 count cans of flaky biscuits. All right, and the way that I'm going to draw those is I'm going to draw 2 circles right next to each other, right? And I'm going to draw a line down the middle. I'm going to draw a half circle that way, a half circle that way, and I'm going to connect. And then I'm going to color them blue, and you're going to know that those are the flaky biscuits. And then I'm going to have 1 pound of sausage. So you could actually draw somewhere over here. You know, what does a pound of sausage look like? It looks like that. So it could look like a potato, so there's not a lot of distinct characters. I guess you could draw the little, you know, the crinkle at the end, but this could be another way. You're going to know that this is sausage, right? Watch. So, I'm going to draw the whole pig. And he's going to be happy for the moment. He may not be happy in a while. But anyway, so there's my little piggy ears. And he's just around. So basically it's 2 circles. And then the 2 more circles for the eyes and the nose. And then I'm going to give him solid feet and a little curly tail and say 1 pound sausage. All right. And then I'm going to do one more. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say 2 cups shredded cheese. All right. And let's draw a shredder. So I'm going to just draw a trapezoid, which is kind of a triangle with flared out sides. I'm going to give it a little base. And all right, and then I'm just going to put little lines, and you know that's a shredder. And you could either just draw a square, or you could have multiple kinds of cheeses. So if this was Swiss cheese, you could put some holes in it, right? Or you could just simply draw a rectangle, and then we're going to come in at an angle, and then our angle is going to be the same for all three sides. And we're just going to finish it. And there's going to be our shredded cheese, right? And then if you wanted to make a little pile of shredded cheese, you could do that. So there's our ingredients, and then we've left room for the final product. So now we're going to do directions. All right, so we're doing directions. And we have preheat the oven. So number 1, just going to do, I think, just numbers, big fat numbers. Preheat oven. 400 degrees. So now it's time for our oven. So I'm just going to write 400. And then, actually, I think I'm going to just draw the really simple one. This one, okay? And so I'm going to come down. I'm going to draw a rectangle or a square. I'm going to put a little thing for the bottom. Draw a rectangle for my towel. See, it's just those little things, like the little towel. You don't have to draw the towel, but the fact that it's there just is a little detail that says that you thought about the process. So, and then I'm going to come over and kind of create a little shadow that my towel is hanging on a rack. So preheat oven 400. And then number 2. So when I draw my 2s, I draw a 2 and then I come up from the back and draw a parallel line, and I find that's a lot easier to do than trying to do it from the front. It looks a lot better. So we're going to mix uncooked sausage and cheese gently until well blended. So okay, I'd probably never really do this because that would like gross me out, or I'd wear gloves. See, there's my gloves. All right, and so basically I'm just drawing 5 little zigzags, all right, for my hands. And now I'm going to draw the bowl. So I'm not going to draw a spoon in my bowl. So I'm going to draw an oval, and I'm going to draw a lip on my bowl, and I'm going to draw a half circle, and then I'm going to put things in my bowl. And now I think adding color is just going to be really awesome to just know that that's the sausage and the cheese. And then number 3, we are, well, 2A, 3. All right, let's do 3 here. Since we're kind of still dealing with that, we're going to, well, let's say mix well. Mix sausage and cheese well. All right, and then we're going to say roll into 40 little balls. All right, and so this could be fun. You could just draw a little row of balls here. And if you wanted to show that they're sitting on something, you're going to just I'm just taking and drawing little lines with a pencil just to kind of show that they're sitting on the table, right? Give a little shadow. And if they were brown and orange, then you would know that those are the little balls. So number 4 is to prepare the biscuits. So number 4 is I'm going to separate the biscuits in half. And to show that, I'm going to just draw 2 little ovals and little lines coming down. So they could be coins, and do half. And then number 5. So I know that I am adding more, because you're looking and you're going, there's only 4 steps, but it seems to me that rolling the balls needs to be a step, and separating into biscuits, and then 5, putting them in the muffin pan. So, and I'm going to abbreviate this to not just, so in the interest of not making this as any longer than it needs to be. So press one layer of the biscuit into the cup, lightly greased mini pan. So actually on the final recipe, I actually wrote all that out, but right now I'm not going to. So I'm going to say press biscuits into muffin pan. And all right, so the way I'm going to draw that, I'm going to draw, right? And so I'm going to draw little curly shaped lines, or little S curvy lines as circles. So you get the idea, and especially then if you can get it colored back, going back and color it kind of a bone or a beige, then you get the idea that you are putting things in each one of the cups of the muffin pan. And then we are going to bake 6. Well, I didn't do that 6 really well. All right, can I salvage it? Then maybe. That's not a great 6, but it'll work. And so we're going to say bake 8 to 10 minutes. All right. Oh, well, I missed a step. See? This is always good. Just got to think of it. So we're going to press biscuits into pan, then add sausage balls. So it could look like that, and we can still salvage this, right? So now I'm going to draw a circle, and then I'm going to draw my little S curves around it. And again, this is where color comes in really handy. Otherwise, just like, what are those little flowers? But we really know that they're not flowers because we got the sausage ball, and it is sitting on a bed of biscuit. And when it's baked, it's going to just turn into yumminess. All right. Bake 10 minutes. Until sausage is bubbly and biscuit is brown. All right, now we have our first recipe, but let's go back and finish the final product. So this is kind of how I've not made this recipe, but this is kind of how I envisioned it. It'll be kind of a bed of biscuit, and then we'd have this ball of, and then you could just, again, add color. Is going to be really important to kind of distinguish what this is, difference between the sausage ball and the biscuit. So anyway, so those were really awesome, and that was Joan's recipe. And so this recipe again shows you, so we're keeping the ingredients and the directions separate. All right, and so next we're going to do Lorraine's. So let's find some paper. All right, I had a ton of paper. There it is. So we're going to do Lorraine's overnight Christmas sausage bake. And so in this case, I decided not to center things, but just to start writing. And then maybe I'd have some room at the beginning and the end to do a little holly, just because it's a Christmas bake. All right, so there's that. And there's that. So there's my lines. And of course, I'm going to go back and erase those lines later. But I'm going to, and again, I use my big number 10 Sensei, is it Pigma Sensei? So we have a crock pot. I'm going to use all caps, crock pot. Christmas, C-H. All right, we're going to use all caps until I decide not to. And I dotted the I. Christmas, and then I'm going to offset a little bit. Sausage, A-S-A-U-S-A, sausage, bake. All right, so that leaves me a little room over here, and here to add a little flourish. So I'm just going to see, there's my holly. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So a holly is literally, it's a half circle going out, right? A convex, I think, I'm not sure. So 3, 4 at the tip, 1, 2, 3, 4 meeting at the bottom, and then draw a line through the middle. And then you can draw 3 berries and then come out again and go 1, 2, 3, 4 at the tip, 1, 2, 3, 4 meeting at the bottom. And if you wanted another one, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the tip, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom. So, and you could actually add in more to make it a little more full. And you don't, not limited to 3 berries, you could draw a bunch more to make it more full. So that's a great way to do that. But I'm going to do something smaller, simpler on her recipe. And again, feel free to do this and pencil first till you're comfortable with what you're doing. And then you can come back in and draw. Draw the leaves and the ivy and color it in with reds and greens, and it's going to give you a definite, oh, this is a Christmas recipe. You know, if you're doing a sugar cookie recipe, you could decorate it with Christmas trees or light bulbs, anything like that. So Christmas Sausage Bake by Lorraine Bacon, who said she made this last night for dinner and everybody loved it. So let's read the recipe. We have 1 pound bulk sausage, 1 bag frozen hash browns, 2 cups grated cheddar cheese, and 1 16-ounce container of liquid eggs. So you could use a dozen eggs, but she used liquid eggs because she made this for her mother who could not have dairy. So that's why I couldn't have eggs. So the instructions are: cook the sausage in a mixing bowl, add all the ingredients, mix well, pour into the crock pot, cook overnight. So this is just a great thing that we can now show process. So this one I'm going to show process. I'm going to put the steps and the ingredients together. So there's no right or wrong way. I just wanted to show you kind of the 2 different ways to do it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cook the sausage. So I'm going to just go ahead and say 1, and I'm going to say cook sausage. All right. And I'm going to draw a pan, which is simply a long rectangle, right? And if you wanted to put like a half circle around it to show that, you know, it's that little ring that you can hang your pots and pans up. And then I'm going to come around and I'm just going to do, it's really another rectangle, but I'm going to round the edges, right? And then I'm going to come in and do some little flames, which is nothing more than little zigzags with a little curve on it. And then you could draw the you could draw this sausage, you could draw little crumbles, or you could have a little fun. And I'm going to draw my pig again, and maybe this time he's not quite so happy. All right, so there's my pig with my little ears. All right, so there we're cooking the sausage. And then with a process flow, you want to just make standout arrows, in my opinion, is probably the best way to do it. You could put this in a box and arrow it to the next step and the next step. I mean, there's tons and tons of ways to show process. So, but I am just going to draw an arrow to the next step that says add all ingredients. And mix well. And so on this one, I'm not going to leave room for a final product because I'm showing process. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw the bowl like this, right? And then I'm going to draw the lip. And then a big round bowl here. And then if you want to put it on the table with a little things, you can do that. And then I'm going to just draw a line to show that there's things in the bowl. Maybe do a little dot. And again, color is going to really distinguish what we've got. So add all ingredients. So I'm going to add, so Mr. Sausage, Mr. Pig now is going to be little chunks of brown things. So we're going to add sausage. With an arrow. I'm going to add hash browns. Right? So you could do a shredder and a potato, but you know, alright, it just, they're there for us, right? Oh, what would we do without their hash browns? And then maybe just do little dots at the bottom and color the top red, and everybody knows that that's going to be an Ore-Ida bag, right? Then we have 2 cups shredded cheese. So I am going to draw my shredder again. All right, with my lid. And maybe add another little lip. And then I'm just going to do little lines. And then you can add your cheese. So you can just do a wedge of cheese. You can do a brick cheese. And we'll say, and if you wanted to draw the cups, draw 2 of them, you could do that. 1 plus 1. So it's a half circle with another big U at the bottom, which is another half circle. Let's just say 1 plus 1, because 1 plus 2 is 3. So 1 plus 1, and again, I probably would go over that with a white pen to not make that look so blippy. I love this Signo pen, Uniball. So I will probably just go back over that a little bit with a 1. All right. 2 cups shredded cheese. All right, and liquid egg. So I could draw, where is it? I could draw a bunch of eggs, kind of. So, or you could use the liquid egg. So there's my eggs and the egg carton. So we'll say 12 eggs or 16 ounces liquid egg. And I'm just going to draw the carton. Again, it's a rectangle. Pretty much, maybe just draw an egg on the front of it, and there we have our ingredients. So, and if you wanted, you could add, you know, kind of a line to just kind of just distinguish that we're dealing with the ingredients right there, just to break it up a little bit. But then our next thing is, I'm going to just draw an arrow over here, and we're going to say add to crock pot. And so we're going to draw our crock pot. So again, it's a rectangle and a square, maybe not quite as big as the rectangle, so the lip could hold, lap over. And then we're going to do a low and high, and I'm just going to indicate that when I color that in. All right, put the point on the low, draw a half circle for the lid, triangle for the top, and then you got your crock pot. So we're going to add everything to the crock pot, and then I'm going to come over here to the side to show, and I'm going to draw a moon and some stars, and then maybe if I'm going to add a couple of curtains here, I'm going to draw the panes of the window, and again, color is really going to make that pop. Bake low overnight. All right, so obviously you've got room for more. The reason I left a little room is here we have an alternative to prep. Bake 400 degrees. Oops, that wrong recipe. 350 degrees. Again, I'll fix that. 350 degrees for 65 minutes in Muffin Pan. And again, we're going to draw a muffin tin. And we can color that in with some brown and some, everybody knows what we're adding there. Color is certainly going to help. And then you could, and I've missed my numbers here. So let's go back and do our numbers. There's 2. This is 3. This is, that's alternate, so 4 would be Christmas morning, right? So we have Christmas morning, so add another arrow to Christmas morning, and say, so if we enjoy family and breakfast. And you could draw presents, you could draw the Christmas tree if you got room. You draw a Christmas tree, put a little star on top, that kind of thing. So, all right. And then at the bottom, be sure, recipe, so I wrote Lorraine's name there, so I'm going to say sketch noted by Marcia Baker. All right, and then if I wanted, I could just kind of frame this in a little bit with some lines at the bottom. And actually, I think I'd like to have my big marker and color. Well, didn't plan that very well. There we go. But still kind of frames it all in. I probably should have just started a little bit further out. I could draw a line all the way down. But anyway, so that's how we sketchnote recipes. So here's, I actually took them out and colored them, although I wish it looks like I burned Joan's thing because I couldn't find the right golden thing. It kept looking really gray and really awful, so I couldn't find the right golden thing, so I kind of need to replace that because that does not look like finished yumminess, and I'm sure that they are totally yummy. But I decided to do a little cursive here, sausage, cheese, bacon, had a little fun hanging some ornaments off there. And then I said by Joan Fitzgerald, and I decided to her frame, I used tape to frame it in. There's the ingredients, so that, you know, we can tell that those are flaky biscuit tins. And then I used little ornaments for the things on the list. And then we did directions. So you can follow my directions with my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, they don't have to be in order because you just want to use the space that you have. So there's the finished one for Joan's Easy Cheesy Sausage Bake. And this is the one for Overnight Christmas. So I decided since it was Christmas, I went ahead and added holly. To do that really quickly, let me find paper. Where's all my paper? It just has disappeared. All right, I'll use this side. So my holly is simply, it's just this in a ton of different directions, and using 2 or 3 different colors of green, it's going to create a little more depth there. I think I've used 3 different colors of green. I used an olive and a lighter green and a darker green. And then when I went back and just drew in lights, all right, which are simply a square and sort of a half circle with a point. Or you could make them all pointy. Or you could make them, you just make another little half circle. So, and we know that that's a light bulb. So, and then I used light bulbs for or ornaments for the process, although I think my purples are a little dark there. But so we cooked the sausage, and I just decided to use the sausage pan instead of the pig, although I think the pig's cuter. And then adding the ingredients into the bowl. So here's all my ingredients. I'm mixing into the bowl. Add mixture to the crock pot. So there's my overnight symbol. And then Christmas morning, enjoy family and breakfast. And then here's my alternate preparation, which I framed with a bubble. And then I noted everybody that sketch noted. So by Lorraine, I sketch noted it, and there you go. So anyway, I hope that this has been helpful, because I really think that recipes could really bless somebody, that you took the time to do a recipe. So, and I'd really love a copy of your recipe to put in our second annual Christmas cookie recipe exchange. And again, they don't need to be recipes. We just ask that you hand sketch them, draw them out by hand, and it's fine if you do it on if you have an iPad, just do it by hand. That's all we ask. Make sure that you scan it. So if you do it on the iPad, you probably can just forward me the file. But if you're doing it by hand, be sure and scan it. Cam Scanner is a great app for free scanning. And then be sure and email it to blessings@live.com. And this year, this is saying the 14th, but I like everything by the 16th. And I'll do my best to have everything out by the 20th. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, learning to sketchnote a recipe. And thanks for all your support. You guys are like totally blessing me with the way you guys are showing up and watching the replays and everything. So I really am trying to provide really great value to really help you strengthen your tools so you can be visual in your faith. I just know that it's really helped me. So I just would like to help other people, because I just know so many people that like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to study. I don't know how to study it. And my mind wanders, and just tons of distractions. And I just find that being visual is really helpful. So I know that this wasn't Bible focused, but we can definitely, I'm going to show you how to take the things that we did today and apply them to your Bible study or your daily morning. You know, if you participated in the read, pray, sketch process, you know that we can use these sketchnoting elements and skills every day. So thanks so much for being with me, and you guys have a Merry Christmas. So just stay tuned. I'll be posting some other things throughout the month. And just reach out if you have questions. I'd love to hear from you. And you guys take care. Love you guys.